because he is not on his deathbed, because he is not giving in to those who believe that he should not be seen from, not be heard from for at least 10 days as part of his quarantining after testing positive going into Thursday morning in the United States, going into Friday morning, my apologies, in the United States. Well, the media, their heads, kaboom.
His response has been homicidal negligence. He has failed to protect the American people and rather to put his own interests of re-election and holding on to the office of the presidency in front of the health and well-being of the American people.
Sick and in isolation, Mr. President, you have become a symbol of your own failures of recklessness, ignorance.
So I just wonder, how does a stunt like this, that not only puts a spotlight on the inequities in President's cavalier attitude to this virus, but endangers the lives of others, help his campaign?
Bang. God forbid that he felt healthy enough, and apparently the doctors around him thought he was healthy enough to be able to do what you just saw. But, of course, the people who were driving the car and his body people, at best as we know, they don't have coronavirus. Whether you can be that close to somebody who has coronavirus seems fairly obvious, not to be the smartest thing to do. But the media, well, they'll do what they do, of course, to make everything a particular scandal here. But perhaps the weirdest thing that happened in the past 24 hours over there on the Biden Booster Network, CNN, is an attempt to pretend that the situation with Trump and the alleged misinformation around what is happening is apparently just the same as when Stalin was dying in Russia. No, I'm not joking.
Well, you know, Brian, there have been a lot of comparisons to the Soviet Union in the last couple of days, and I think they're not unwarranted. The particular period that I'm thinking about is something that I've written about a lot, which were the days of Stalin's death watch, right? When the foreign correspondents and the domestic correspondents, such as they were, all knew what was going on. Nobody was giving them any information. Everybody was expecting the final call, right? And the planet filled with rumor. And the thing is, it's not so much what we're being told by White House officials or by the doctors. You can actually create a reasonable narrative from all the things that they have put out there. It is the palpable sense that people are not speaking, that there are withholding information, and of course the sense of total lack of credibility that's been established over the last 4 years.
Yes, certainly, because the free press in Russia at the time, exactly the same as the press that were covering and briefings and all the rest of it that were happening in the United States. But anyway, now, there's a couple of things that we need to talk about here. Donald Trump tested positive to coronavirus. It was confirmed. He did the spit test on the Thursday, but it was confirmed in the early hours of the morning on Friday that he had it. Now, you have to quarantine for 10 to 14 days when you get coronavirus to be able to see whether you're going to dip in and out of it or whether you're going to get very crook as a result of it. He went to hospital on Friday, was there on Saturday and Sunday. It is now Monday morning in the United States. And the expectation is that as early as today, just a couple of days into his diagnosis, a couple of days after getting supplemental oxygen, which he apparently has not got at the hospital but got back at the White House before he was sent to the hospital, is that he could come out of hospital as early as today.
If he continues to look and feel as well as he does today, our hope is that we can plan for a discharge as early as tomorrow to the White House where he can continue his treatment course.
So he has to stay there for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it is Saturday when we would get to day 10. Now, that's the best case scenario. My concern in this situation is, for obvious reasons, he wants to put this thing in the rearview mirror. He wants to say, look, yes, I have to stay at home for a few days, but I'm okay. But that said, while I'm a massive supporter of the president and I hope that he gets a chance to get re-elected in less than a month's time, my biggest concern for him from a health perspective is that he should stay at the hospital for another couple of days because it is day 7 of all of this. So that would be Thursday going into Friday. That apparently is the start of, if it's going to get really bad, it gets really bad there. So potentially the worst might still be in front of him. The idea of being in the White House and then potentially going back to hospital, it's not going to be a good look. Now, I know that he does care on some levels what the look is, but from his own health perspective, as I say, I want him to kick this thing and kick it cleanly so he can get back onto the campaign trail sooner rather than later. But Donald Trump seems absolutely determined to show that the worst of it is in the rear vision mirror. This is what he said today in a video that's been now viewed 20 million times on Twitter, where he starts to talk about COVID as his experience in the past tense. Now, remember, it is Saturday, the upcoming Saturday of this week, where we get to 10 days, and that's best case scenario.
It's been a very interesting journey. I learned a lot about COVID. I learned it by really going to school. This is the real school. This isn't the let's read the book school. And I get it, and I understand it, and it's a very interesting thing, and I'm going to be letting you know about it. In the meantime, we love the USA, and we love what's happening.
So, it doesn't look like a bloke who's on his deathbed, does it? This does not look like the death watch of Stalin. He clearly is doing very well at the moment. What happens in the next couple of days, I don't know. You don't know. None of us know. And time is the only thing that will actually expose truly what is happening here. Willpower alone is not going to be able to propel him past what the experts say are the potentially worst days that might come ahead. So, fingers crossed, in my view, he stays in hospital for a couple of days. The best way to start showing strength and that he is on top of this thing is to pick up the phone and ring into as many TV shows as he wants and start doing some interviews via the radio. The fact that he's not doing that does not suggest that he is crooker than they are suggesting, but it does show that there is either a lack of confidence or a lack of willingness to actually go off and do that. Now, there's no doubt about who I want to win this election, but I certainly don't want him to be any crooker than he has to be while he fights what I believe to be one of the most important elections that we have seen in our lifetimes. That always gets said, but we know it's all on the line right now.